Well, it's been quite a while since my last video. I had a whole string of videos here on the build of my 383 stroker that I'm dropping in my 95 Chevy truck. And I ran into a few problems, and that's why I haven't made a video. We've had one of our family members in the hospital, and weather's been kind of nasty, but I got the engine in and everything. I got it running. It runs great, which I'll share a video at some later date of it running and maybe even driving. But I want to share a few things that I ran into and problems I've been having. The first problem I ran into once I got the engine running, I had some racket up underneath the valve covers. Thought something was loose in the valve train, and upon closer inspection I found out that my roller rockers were hitting the inside of my covers. These are these nice 383 stroker covers that I bought from Summit, which I'm going to hang on to them maybe for another project. But right in here you can see where I tried to relieve them a little bit. The rockers were hitting there and making one hell of a racket, so I had to end up going with a different style of valve cover, which I'll show you, and then I'll keep these for some other project. I believe what the problem was, these are Vortec heads, aluminum Vortec heads made by Edelbrock, and they said in their instruction manual that the perimeter bolts for the covers are not in the stock location, and I'm thinking maybe that might have been what my problem was. Anyway, I went with these slant edge Chevy aluminum covers made by Proform, and I'll show them to you on the truck. I'll show them to you on the pickup truck, so you can see how that the inside edge is kicked out for more clearance. So let's go ahead and do that first. They actually look pretty nice. I really like those other covers, but I think these look really pretty good too. They're tall. They have a slanted edge to them. They got a raised bow tie Chevrolet emblem on them. And then on this inside edge where I was actually having the clearance problem, you can see how they're kicked out. So I'm not having any more problem there. Take a look on the outside, you can actually see a flange. It's just the flange is missing on the inside, and the cover is kicked out, so it clears that. And so these cylinder heads have both the center hold down and the perimeter bolt pattern, and I'm using the perimeter, and I think it's not quite in the stock location like the instructions said, and I think that's why I was having the interference. It sounded like a damn diesel. All the rockers were rubbing up against the inside of that cover. So also, one thing I ran into, you'll notice I'm using the GM Performance Serpentine drive system, which I had one on my original engine, but I just wanted to upgrade. I went with the one without the compressor. I have plans to fix my AC later. But one thing you're going to run into is the stud on the alternator, the output stud, will interfere with the cover. I've seen some other mention of this, and I ran into the same problem. And on these covers here, I actually had to grind a little bit off so that the stud and the little rubber boot that goes over it would clear it. But I was able to get it in there, and it's it's working fine. I think you're only going to have that problem when you're using tall valve covers. I think the stock short covers would probably clear it just fine. And then that kit, comes with the reman alternator, the reman power steering pump, and I believe it's probably a new water pump. It comes with all the belts and the hoses. I did have to do a little bit of grinding and deburring to get all the parts to fit exactly right. It's probably made in Mexico or something. But I ended up getting it to work out okay, and it looks good. I got my wiring straightened out. Got my big tall valve air cleaner on there. It's aluminum air cleaner assembly there. Got everything hooked up. Any place that's a little close to the headers, I ran some Summit heat shield around the hoses and around the wiring. You'll see that over here as well. Got one spot there that's fairly close to the headers. That stuff works pretty easy. It's split, You just cut it to length and it'll wrap around your hoses, wires, whatever you need to do. And so the other problem I'm running into right now, what's holding me up so much, is right here. This TCI Easy TCU, you'll see that in some of my other videos where I'm kind of showing what I got. It comes with all the wiring you need. It comes with the controller and the handheld. Well, it's proven to be a piece of shit so far. I just returned the second one, and TCI is going to replace it again. And if it doesn't work this time, I'm going to ask Summit for my money back. What happened on the first one, I was locked in manual mode without grounding the manual mode wire, and so the transmission wouldn't shift out of first gear. And then the second one I got from them, I couldn't get the performance mode to work, and I couldn't get it to shift unless I put in some really unusual numbers for rear end ratio and the settings and the advanced options menu. I had to just trick it to get it to shift, and then when I finally did get it working, I stopped and turned the engine off, and then when I turned it back on, all the calibration and everything was gone. So it seems like it's some sort of a software issue. Also, if anybody's interested in buying one of these things, my experience has been they have no tech support whatsoever. I called in, we tried to talk to the guy about it, and I knew more about it than he did, so I wouldn't expect much support. He even said that they don't even have a way of testing them. So I about had it with this setup. I hate to have to change it because it was such a clean wiring job and everything that I did. And having the handheld, not having to have the laptop and everything. But I'm about over it. It's been going on now for a month and a half or so, where I've sent it back and called them and different things, and they seem fairly responsive. I mean, they will replace it, but like I said, there's no tech support. There's nothing to check, nothing to try. And quite honestly, when I called the guy, I knew more about it than he did. I mean, obviously he never even read the instructions to it, so I'm not even sure TCI makes it. Somebody probably makes it for them. Here's where I had it connected. That's the main connection that goes down to the transmission. And then also some wires split off of that for your tax signal. My tax signal is coming through this filter here, which cleans up the tax signal from the HEI. And then ran the wire all the way around and powered it directly from the battery. You can see my stud sticking out where I've got some other connections made. And so I'm really under impressed with it so far. I'm going to give them one more chance and we'll see what happens. I was going to go ahead and show you inside how I had it hooked up inside. I had my handheld coming out right here. There's my serial port cable and then power, and I had wrapped in just a split loom coming off of the underneath the dash there. It runs outside over to that controller. So if I end up going with a different manufacturer, I'm going to have to probably redo all that, which really kind of sucks. But, that's how it goes, so it's always something. And as far as the engine goes, the engine runs great. I've never been able to drive it enough to really be able to do any additional tuning to it. I know that I have a little too much spark advance, so I'm going to have to work on that a bit. And get a transmission controller is going to work for me. And one other small little problem, I got a little oil leak around the drain plug, so I'm going to have to address that at some point. And one other thing I want to mention, these fans, the cooling fans, man, they really work nice, and I like how that turned out. They fit really great. There's a couple different sizes of these if you get ready to order one of these. It's permacool, but you have to measure your radiator, make sure you got the right size radiator, because there's like 2 or 3 different sizes of them. But man, they bolt right on really nice. And it's been kind of cool weather, but I really don't expect any problem. It's moves plenty of air and everything, so I'm kind of you know, I got the itch to drive this thing, but you know, the last time I drove it, I had that stupid transmission controller in my hand, making adjustments, trying to get the damn thing to shift, and just trying to get it to do anything at all, you know. So that's that. And then what else did I want to share here? This is some advanced curve stuff I'm going to have to work on a little bit. I got way too much spark advance. The little bit that I did drive it, I heard a little ping here and there, so I'm definitely going to have to address that. But other than that, the carburetor seems like it's in really pretty good. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of tuning to do to that. It's I haven't actually done anything to it other than just tweak the idle mixture and idle speed a little bit. And so I've got some issues with the timing I'm going to work on. But I was going to share a little something about my truck here. One of my other viewers asked me what year it was, and so I don't know that if I ever shared this or not, but it's a 1995 K2500 Chevy. It's the 3/4 ton, has the regular cab, has the 8-foot bed. It's been really totally stock until I did this engine swap. So all of its life it's spent just in totally stock form. I did many years ago replace the wheels. It had a 16-inch diameter steel wheel and 6.5 inches wide, I think they were. And these are 16 by 8. I just did buy some new tires here. I like these all-terrain TA BF Goodrich. They ride good, and they drive good, and they don't make a lot of noise, but if you do go off-road, they do improve that a little bit. The original engine was a 350 TBI, and it's got the 4L80E transmission, and it has a 9.5-inch 14-bolt rear end with a 410 gear, and it has a new process 272 ratio transfer case. And this is also the original paint. I've kept, you know, I've washed it, waxed it over the years. I've really kept taking good care of it. You will notice I have a spot there. It's starting to chip off a bit, but I'd like to get some of that fixed. I haven't put the hood back on it yet. Over here I've got a little more problem with the paint around the door, but that's not too bad for original paint being 1995. But I have taken care of it, so there's no rust or bumps or bruises on it. It's never really been abused off-road or anything. And then I've replaced these headlights a few times, get fogged up, and then try to polish them up, but I've actually put new ones on. That kind of takes some of the age off of it. While I was under the hood here, I cleaned the whole engine compartment up quite a bit, redid the wiring. So it really looks cool under the hood. Right now I've got the cowl vent there undone because I've got some screws and nuts that go through that hold that transmission controller on, so every time that I've had to replace it, I've had to take that off again. But I'm going to be smart this time. I'm just going to plug the thing in. If it doesn't work, it's going back, and I'm getting my money back. The hell with the thing. So here's one other thing I wanted to show you. So I got a little MIG welder, and I like fiddling around with that. So early on, it's always a little hard to work on these trucks. It's so tall. So I built this little thing here. You can buy them, but I don't think you can buy one quite as wide as that. But just out of some angle iron and some threaded rod and some metal that I had laying around and some wood, I made me a step. So you can stand on that and lean over it and work on it. And then back here in the back on those threaded rods, there's a plate that goes on the other side of the tire. There's some nuts there where you can run the nuts in and out and adjust it for whatever size, whatever width of tire you had. I've never tried to use it on a car, but on this truck it's really nice to just be able to stand up like that and lean over and work on it. So that's a little something about my truck. It's really in pretty good shape, and I like the old thing. It drives really great, and the inside is in really good condition. It is a Silverado, so it has, you know, most everything that you could get on a truck back then. I did put a spray-in bed liner, and I had a few scratches on the top, so I had the guy just bring the bed liner over the side just a little bit and stop right on that crease. But these trucks really have a nice line to them. I really like the way they look. And mine is kind of unusual. You don't see too many with this color scheme. The maroon, I think it is, and white, the way it is. I think it looks pretty cool. And I know the guy that I got it from, his brother, the story was his brother ordered it, and then his brother had it for a short time, and then the guy I bought it from bought it so he could pull a boat, and he went hunting a little bit, but he didn't hurt it. I've had it, I think it had about 40,000 on it when I got it in 1999, so I've had it for a long time, and I got no reason to really want to get rid of it. And that's why, you know, I was looking for something to do, plus I'm going to keep my truck, and I wanted to drop in the 383 and have some more fun with it. So I guess that's about all I need to share right now. I just wanted to give an update and kind of tell you where I've been. I had a whole series of these videos going real strong, and then I had some problems and ran into a few things here and there, and so I had to kind of stop making my videos for a while. But hopefully soon I'll be able to get back into it and you know, share some more videos and hopefully maybe even take a ride in the thing. Alright, thanks for watching my videos.